Well, I'll welcome everybody to our Monday Masterclass here. And this one's going to be a little different. You know, a lot of times we dive into some of the nitty gritty of blueprinting, right? We may get into the software or some of the special cases that we have to deal with our customers and setting up interviews and so on. We are going to step way back this time, and we're going to talk about actually what I think is the primary reason teams don't do well with blueprinting, and it's leadership. You know, thankfully, most of the clients we work with, they've got great leaders, and you know, they are serious about growth and understanding customer needs. But we, without a doubt, have seen some of the drawbacks of short-term thinking, and that's really the topic of our talk here today. And I should also tell you that this is something that's captured my imagination for years, and I think I'm finally going to do something about it. We're going to launch a pretty big survey coming up a little bit, and really trying to understand, I guess you could put it this way, is this just Dan's idiosyncratic impression of a problem, or is it a real problem? So don't be surprised if you see a survey coming in coming weeks on this thing, but it's really going to be about leadership behavior. So here's what we're going to do today. Going to be a little bit different. I'm going to share with you 4.5 2-minute videos. We put together a series of 50 videos, largely aimed at getting people to think differently about understanding customer needs, new product development, and growth. And my hope is a lot of leaders will also look at these videos. So I'm going to share with you 4.5 of them that you could probably say will be the most irritating for the typical business leader, okay? And I'd love to get your impressions. Now, you don't have to say, yeah, my boss does this or my boss does that. You could say, when I worked at another company, here's the problem they had. Or maybe you say, Dan, I don't think this problem is as big as you think it is. I'm seeing things working out a lot better. I'd really welcome some feedback from you. So let's do this. What we're going to do is we're going to jump over here to, we're at the main website, AIM Institute. We're going to go to Insights. We're going to go to the video series. And by the way, if you want to subject yourself to it, you can watch a new video chapter every day or a new video chapter every week. These are only about 2 minutes long. Okay, so they're really not too bad. And and they're all about 2 minutes or maybe just a little shade over. So I'm going to start us off here with one called Be a Business Builder. And the question I'd love to have you thinking about as we play this, let me make sure I'm going to share my sound. Looks like I will. The question I'd love to have you kind of running in the back of your mind that I'm going to ask you when we're done is, in your estimation, what percentage of business leaders are builders versus the other types we're going to see here? Because I have an impression in my mind, but I'd love to get your impression on this. It'd be very helpful. So let's go ahead and play this guy here.
Ever worked for a business leader who was a builder? I have. It was a wonderful experience. A builder is someone who drives business growth by delivering real value to customers, brushing aside business fads, short-term distractions, and financial gymnastics. Under their leadership, a business grows in size, profitability, and stature. Your company was founded by builders, and you can still spot builders today. They focus on understanding customer needs and meeting them with differentiated products. This leads to reliable organic growth over the years. Other leaders are remodelers, always fixing the place up. This is helpful work, improving efficiency, quality, and cost. But if nothing new is built, you have diminishing returns and a race to the bottom, ending in commoditization. Other leaders are decorators, trying to boost curb appeal. They're focused on how the place looks, and life is all about the quarterly financial report. They think they're doing meaningful work, but are actually engaged in a spectator sport, not a participant sport. What they do this quarter seldom matters even next year. Finally, some are realtors. They love to buy and sell, reaping their rewards during mergers and acquisitions, when the work of others' hands changes hands. Acquisitions are fine, but if you can't grow what you acquire, you're building a house of cards. Does this mean you should forget about operational efficiency financial reporting, or M&A? Of course not. But what is your passion? What gets you excited about your job? For the builder, it's driving organic growth over the years. Only the builder satisfies the first duty of any business leader. Leave your business stronger than you found it. If you're a leader and you miss this, you failed. Not to put too sharp a point on it, but you failed the people who depend on you. There's more in our ebook, Leader's Guide to B2B Organic Growth. In the next chapter, we'll see how some leaders take credit for growth when in fact, most of it is unearned.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that one. So I'd love to get your impressions on this. In fact, if you don't mind, just go to the chat. And here's my question. Overall, what percentage of business leaders do you think are builders at heart? And obviously, go ahead and put that number whenever you get a chance. And obviously, you can imagine any business builder or any business leader could have a composition of, yeah, I want to grow my business, but yeah, I got to do some productivity things, and I got to make sure I meet the quarterly thing, and yeah, we're doing some M&A. But now what I mean is, what's their passion? Think about the leaders out there. What percentage of them wake up in the morning and the main thing they're focusing on is building their business? Go ahead and either unmute and share with us or drop it in the chat. And I won't turn my chat on, so we won't know who said what, but maybe you can read out some numbers when you start seeing them come in. Anybody have any comments on this whole matter of business building, though, while we're waiting for a few people to put their numbers in?
Got a 15 and a 20 so far.
15 and a 20%. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to contribute? What percentage? These are the people who wake up in the morning and their main drive, their main passion is, I want to build this business. I want to really create something. Any
10,
other numbers? Yeah.
10 and 20. So I guess our average is what, maybe just south of 15, maybe 13.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's, we're going to do a survey and we hope to get actually over 1,000 responses on this thing. It's going to be really interesting to see. But here's what we're going to do. And then I'll move on to the next video here. We're going to actually send the survey out and we're going to be able to divide into 3 groups. People who are contributors, people who are middle management, and people who are in senior management. And we're going to be able to compare how they all answer that question. All right. So thank you for that. Anybody have any comments on this business building first? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and play another one. I don't want to take too much time on these, but I just kind of want to get into these concepts here. The next one is the commodity death spiral. And this is a real pick me up. This is so cheerful. Here we go. Let's play this one. There it goes. Okay.
This probably won't be the most cheerful chapter in our series, but it may be the one you'll want your business leaders to watch. Here's how the commodity death spiral works. Imagine your business stopped innovating for customers, leaving you with Me Too products. This means they're interchangeable with competitors' products, a fact that has not gone unnoticed by your customers' purchasing agents, who of course demand lower pricing, which means lower profits for you. That's too bad, because it's budgeting time and your boss seems quite interested in your plan for next year. Do you say, "Boss, our profits are going down next year"? I'm guessing no. Instead, you promise the same or higher profits, which means you need to reduce costs. Now, you can't fire your salespeople. You need them for next year, so you cut R&D and marketing, right? But this means you'll have even less new product development capability next year, giving you even fewer options then. Eventually, you reach the point of no return, and your business dies, or it goes on life support and is no longer relevant. Any of this sound familiar? It happens when business leaders forget their number one duty is leave your business stronger than you found it. Avoiding this fate requires constant vigilance because you're in a constant tug of war to avoid commoditization. Pulling you toward commodity are purchasing agents who do all they can to make your product interchangeable, competitors trying to knock off your products, new substituting technologies that obsolete yours, new market entrants, and product life cycles playing out over time. Against all this, you have only one defense: new products that deliver more customer value than competitors. It's sobering but true. Specialty forces come from you, the supplier, or they don't come at all. Now, don't be discouraged. We'll cover some practical ways to do this. But first, in the next chapter, we'll address business leaders' primary stumbling block, their time horizon.
We'll go to that one next. So this one, again, feel free to unmute and kind of speak your piece on this. But I would be curious, if you guys don't mind, just going to the chat. And here's my question: Have you ever been in a business that was on the commodity death spiral? Just a yes or a no. And it doesn't maybe have to be one that went all the way down to death or irrelevance, on life support. But you felt that for a substantial, at least for a year or two, it was heading down the wrong way. And so this one, I don't know how people will respond. I can tell you, I was in a business like that, but I spent 29 years in businesses, so it's not surprising that at least one of them was on that sort of a downward spiral. So yeah, just a little yes or no. Have I ever been in a business that was on a commodity death spiral? What a lovely term. What will pick me up. And you get any responses on that, Scott, so far?
Sorry, I was not on mute. We are. Yes.
Okay, all right. You guys are helping me out here, because I kind of, this is actually very helpful to kind of, I don't know what the massive survey, when we get that down, what it's going to reveal, but I just, sometimes I get these experiences, and am I just kind of like imagining things, or probably not. Well, the next one is actually one of my favorite videos. I'm going to go back. Yeah, please.
A quick little anecdote before we leave that.
Yes,
topic.
please.
When I took the get my video back on. When I took the PDMA's new product development professional course a long time ago, but when I took it, there were folks from all different industries. Even like, I'll never forget, it was like an Arizona power company. And I was like, wow. And everybody's trying to learn about new product development. And invariably they kept raising their hand. And I'll just paraphrase what they each said, which was this: well, the very unique thing about my business is that it's really becoming increasingly commoditized. And I'm telling you, Dan, I don't care who you are or where you're from, every single person had that same perspective based on where they were. And I guess everything does, it doesn't, they go toward maturity. They don't go backwards. And so it's sort of easy to see. I mean, there's different levels of commoditization, but I remember thinking, man, that guy for the power company, he's got a good case.
Yeah.
But then anyway, but I found it to be universal that was everybody's perspective.
That's fascinating, Scott. I think about our innovation like sandcastles on the shore. We create these new products, we innovate, it offers value. They are eventually going to get knocked down. Now, we can build them far away from the sea, we can build them strong, we can keep building more of them. But that tug of war that we saw in that last video, it's real. And everybody else is on the other end of the rope. The problem is if on our end of the rope, we're not putting enough muscle into it. If we're not always trying to understand customer needs, look at new market segments, trying to really dig deep, being very innovative, then we get commoditized pretty darn fast. I've been fascinated to see in some commoditized industries how some people have done some amazing things and turned it around, but they were working at it.
And it's like that famous innovation guru Jimi Hendrix taught us: castles in the sand fall in the sea eventually.
Exactly. We always have to go back to Jimi Hendrix on this stuff, Scott. I think that's just the guiding light for us on this. Well, let's talk about extending your time horizon here. Please. Did you? Oh, okay. All right. Let's go ahead and play this one. Extend your time horizon and see what we have to say about this.
At the root of most business problems is a time horizon that is too short. I once left a financial review meeting, and our president asked me what I thought of it. I said it was okay, but it reminded me of my first job as a freshly minted chemical engineer watching over an extruder on the midnight shift. Of course, I had to explain that. If the product quality coming out of the exit die was bad, did I stand there and exhort it to do better? I did not. I checked what was going into the feed hopper. Our financial review seemed intelligent as we discussed prices, revenue, and margins, but you know what? All of that was predetermined by the new products we had fed into the machine years earlier. Yes, I know. You have to take care of the short term so they'll keep you around for the long term. But at some point you need to ask, do I want my career to be a spectator sport or a participant sport? Some business leaders are worse than spectators. As they work to upgrade today's results, they degrade the feed of new products needed for the future. Because their travel bans, cost cutting, hiring freezes, reorganizations, and layoffs are precisely what you would do if you wanted to put the brakes on market-facing innovation and future growth. So is there any evidence that a longer time horizon works better? Research reported in the Harvard Business Review showed, on average, companies exhibiting long-term behavior had 47% higher revenue, 36% higher earnings, 58% higher market caps, and 132% higher job creation. So my advice, spend more time at the feed hopper. Become obsessed about your business's ability to understand and meet customer needs. Someone defined the future as the time we'll wish we had done what we're not doing now. Feed your hopper with great new products for a future of highly satisfying financial reviews.
That's a true story, by the way. I remember leaving this review, and it was these financial reviews were brutal. Oh, by the way, let me ask you this question. Do you see this time horizon, this short-termism as a problem in your experience? It could be yes, no, it could be any comments. If you don't mind, just drop us a chat in there, and while I just maybe talk about this for a moment. So yeah, these financial reviews, they would make and break careers if you didn't have the right answers when this really tough, hard-nosed, very, very intelligent president would have them. And but it just occurred to me, we couldn't change anything. I mean, this was a spectator sport. The prices, the volume, the margins, the revenue increases, all that stuff we were looking at had been determined years earlier, often by a very quiet team working quietly, going out, understanding customer needs. And that thing that occurred to me is that's where a business leader needs to focus on the feed hopper, what we're feeding in here. So I don't know if anybody wants to unmute or has a comment, or Scott, if you've seen any chat comments come through here. Anything, Scott, that you've seen in the chat?
We have yes, but you need long-term strategy to continue growth.
Good
Yes,
point.
sometimes it's a matter of survival. I think something we can all relate to. In the end, cash flow, it doesn't matter how big your business, how small your business, or if it's just your household. Cash flow sort of rules everything.
Yeah.
Short term, for sure.
Exactly. And I think that's the paradox. You know, we have to get through the short term to get to the long term. What is interesting is the cash flow we have now, the margins we have now, the growth we have now, all of that was determined years earlier. And I'm not saying we can't affect it at all right now. We can try to hustle our customers to pay a little faster or stuff. But the big lever, it just seems, is like what we did 3 years ago and 5 years ago with the new products and so forth. Interesting. So thank you for that input, folks. And what I'm going to do is I just got one more. I won't bother, but there's a fifth one, but we kind of covered it. Well, maybe I'll just see. Yeah, maybe I will. let me do this one. Now, this is a different way of looking at things, second order effects. And I would love to hear if this is a fresh way of looking at it or if you've been exposed to this much before. Let's play this guy.
In the early 1900s, the French colonial government of Hanoi faced an exploding rat population, so they placed a bounty on rat tails people turned in. The first order effect was lots of rat tails turned in, but the second order effects were lots of tailless rats in the city and new rat breeding farms. Whenever you change a system to deliver a first order effect, you will always have a second order effect, which is often undesired. So you may think you're tipping just one domino, but there's always a second domino that will tip later, and usually more dominoes after this. How does this apply to B2B organic growth? Let's say you freeze discretionary spending. Good news, you meet this quarter's earnings target. But it also slowed dozens of new product projects as teams waited to run outside lab tests, hire technicians, interview customers, and so on. Product launches are pushed back, which delays future revenue, leading to poor earnings growth. What do you do now? Freeze spending again? Business leaders are sharp about most things, but often suffer from first domino fixation. And I'm sorry to say most don't learn from this experience. Let's say you're lamenting your poor earnings growth. How many times have you heard someone say, well, the problem is all those crazy spending freezes the last few years? Never? I call this first domino amnesia. But don't forget this is usually true. Easy fixes now lead to problems later, and hard work now leads to rewards later. In the next chapter, we'll see how the hard work of building your growth capabilities pays off.
So this one, I would feel free to unmute if you've got a comment on this, but in this, I'd like to just kind of focus just for a moment on this first domino amnesia. I don't remember in 29 years of working in industry that I ever had heard of a leader say, well, the reason we're having a hard time right now is because we were doing all that first domino work earlier, hiring freezes, cost controls, travel bans. I don't remember them ever looking back to see how that impacted what's going on now. Is this anybody have any comments on this? Is this something that you think business leaders are thinking about, or are they just focused on, the short term?
While everybody's thinking about that, incentives have a funny way of doing what they were of working, which mightn't be beyond what the designers imagine. In fact, a lot of times, if you look at what our topic today is short-termism. If you look at the incentives of what appears to be irrational behavior by the highest level leaders, if you understand their incentives, how they're getting paid, all of a sudden it doesn't seem quite there. You realize they're acting quite rationally. Then it reminds me of anytime, like, okay, we want to grow. A common thing is let's get some bonuses for the salespeople. If they move the old product, this and that, and nobody is fast. Those salespeople, by the sun coming up the next day, they will know how to work that program to their benefit, and it's not their fault. I mean, that's the incentives are there; they're going to use them, but it definitely demonstrates how these second order effects, as you say, may not be the we might end up with a bunch of rats with their tails when we were trying to do something different.
The laws of unintended consequences, but you're absolutely right, Scott. And I think some companies have tried to put in different incentives, long-term plans. One thing that we've been looking at is putting in ways of measuring, are they building the capabilities? But we're a long way from getting many companies to buy in for a different way of looking at it. We're not the only ones who are tilting against windmills, by the way. There's others who are saying there's something that needs to change. I'm just going to do just a few seconds of this one. This is called Pursue Fast Innovation. Everybody wants to go faster. And there's one part of this about a minute and a half in, I'm just going to share. because all of it doesn't really apply here.
Imagine a project that leads to new product sales.
Hang on a second. Let me just go, and we'll get this about a minute and a half here. And this is the part, the things we do that slow down innovation. Here we go.
Reduce your organizational friction. These are the things companies do that turn exciting innovation into a slog. Travel bans, spending freezes, hiring delays, reorganizations, adding new assignments to overworked employees, new initiatives, rapid strategy changes, and so on. You may feel these help in the short term, but they slow the introduction of new products. These are the levers you are using to throttle your own organic growth. Who needs competitors to slow us when we do it ourselves? Instead, set clear design targets on fewer projects as you engage your customers in the front end and reduce organizational friction.
So that part was just about the organizational friction that we tend to see. So that's it. I just wanted to share those with you, but I'd love to get any reactions anybody has. Reactions could be, would this be helpful in your company? Would it be insulting to the business leader? These are questions I have, would there be an openness to some of these concepts to think differently, or more of a resistance to them? Any thoughts? Anybody have anything they want to comment on these? Is Dan tilting at windmills? Could be. Well, let me mention what we've got here. So these videos, what we're doing now is we're starting to work with some universities, and we're starting to get them into their coursework. We have a long ways to go on this thing, but that's what we're working on, is to get these at universities. Also, we've got a couple of trade and professional associations that are going to be posting these. Some of you belong to the IRI. It used to be Industrial Research Institute. Now it's the Innovation Research Interchange, I think. It's got kind of the big one where, all the R&D directors and stuff belong. They're going to go ahead and post these 50 videos. The 50 videos don't mention blueprinting once in the videos themselves. We try to keep it a little bit non-commercial. Also, we're going to make these available if any companies, client companies or others, want to put it on their intranet. We're just trying to get a different way of thinking out there. Again, maybe tilting at windmills, but we're going to give it a good run to see if we can change some thinking. We know we won't change everybody's thinking, but if we could get people thinking more about builders driving organic growth by understanding and meeting customer needs, we think a lot of good will come of that. All right, so we can also open this up. So any comments you have on our topic today, or anything else you'd like to talk about. We actually used up our half hour on this specific topic, and we're around for anything else. Anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss or cover that we already talked about?
While people are thinking, let me grab the website to sign up for the video series, and I'll drop that in the chat. Let me get
Oh, great. Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm also going to mosey on over, and Scott and I always surprise what is coming up next time. So let's take a look. We'll go out to the Monday Masterclass, and we'll see what we've got lined up here for the next time. It looks like it's steps to a better new product development process. So yeah, interesting. NPD 12 steps to improve your system. Scott, I believe this might be based upon an article that you wrote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yes. Scott's turning the barrel next time, everybody. Scott's had some really good articles that we know that they're connecting with people, because the Google search results are just going sky high on a lot of Scott's articles. So thank you for that, Scott. We know that they're helping people. All right. Well, listen, I'll let you guys begin your week.